With the government's reaction to COVID-19, there are literally millions of Americans right now facing economic hardships, wondering where their next paycheck is going to come from. Earlier today, President Trump and members of his administration talked about some ideas that could offer economic relief. One of those ideas is people getting a $1,000 check. Joining me now is New Jersey Congressman Chris Smith to talk about this idea, whether or not it could become a reality, and who's going to get the money? Congressman, welcome back to Chasing News. How are you?
Bill, great to be on again. Thank you for having me on.
So let's talk about this $1,000 idea. There's been a very abrupt change and a new reality for literally millions of people who are worried about how they're going to pay their rent, etc. I would argue $1,000 for a lot of people is not really going to help them if they got a family of four. But that said, is this a realistic idea? Who pays for it and who gets it?
Well, it would be income tested in terms of what your salary once was, more likely, but that's not clear either. It's an idea that's being floated. But more importantly, Bill, is that in the bill that we just passed on midnight on Friday, there is language in that would provide a salary to people for 14 days in any company that's 500 employees or less. It would be financed through tax credits that are made to the business, so they would have a dollar for dollar repayment from the federal government. And then after that, for the next 3 months, if it's still a raging crisis, which I think it will be, those individuals could get 60% of their salary, again, financed through tax credits. This is a crisis. I've been at every briefing, Bill, and I can tell you, I think there's no overreaction here. There's a sense that if we do not control the community spread, we could see a huge numbers of people who die, get very sick.
Congressman, let me ask you, on the other side, it's tax season. You've got April 15th coming up very quickly. Two sides of it. Some people are looking for a refund. Others are going to owe. And now we're hearing it's going to be 90 days. 90-day deferral with no penalties.
Well, again, this is to provide relief to people. They will eventually, after 90 days, be called upon to pay their taxes if there is any additional taxes required to the Internal Revenue Service. But people who may be getting a refund ought to be sure to file on time so that they do get that money and can use it to buy food, clothing, and shelter for their families.
I'm out of time, but I always appreciate hearing from you. Thank you, and we'll certainly stay in touch.
Thank you, Bill.
All right, let's bring in tonight's A-plus panel. We're joined by Republican strategist Jeanette Hoffman. Good to see you, Jeanette.
Thanks, Bill. Happy St. Patrick's Day.
Happy St. Patrick's Day to you. And Bill Caruso, Democratic strategist and attorney. Good to see you, Bill.
Hey, Bill.
All right, no green today, huh?
Nope.
The bars are closed, no green beer. So let's talk about that. Bars are closed.
Yeah.
And that's just one sector of the economy shut down. We have had the most sweeping economic shutdown that I have ever witnessed.
It's unbelievable.
Congressman Smith talked a little bit about what the president talked about. Is this, in your opinion, this $1,000 idea realistic, doable, affordable?
I mean, it's something, and I think right now people are freaking out. I mean, 90% of what I've been doing the last 2 days is talking to business about how they're going to keep their doors open right now. That's the big issue. And the federal government had no plan. And half of our problem right now is the fact that there is no plan. And so you've got mayors developing a plan, you've got governors developing a plan, and we have a cacophony of voices right now. We needed leadership from the start with a plan, marshaling resources, and that seems to be on its way, but man, is it late.
Jeanette, to that point, I don't see how $1,000 is going to cut it for the average family that has a couple of kids.
It's not, and it's going to get worse before it even gets better, Bill. But I would argue that anytime you're giving taxpayers more of their money to keep, it's a good thing. It's a start. Look, we have to defer, tax filings. Chris Smith talked about that too. I think more needs to be done. I think Congress really needs to get to work. The president needs to come up with a little bit more too.
Thank you, guys.